against Bitcoin.
It's going up forever.
You're against Bitcoin, you're against freedom.
Yo, welcome to another episode of Simply Bitcoin Live. We're your number one source for the peaceful Bitcoin revolution with code breaking news, culture, matic warfare. We will be your guide through the separation of money and state. Speaking of the separation of money and state, today is one of those episodes. Yeah, that's right. We put it in the title. We saw this the flack in the chat. Opti, if you could pull it up, if you could be so kind. We are gonna make the case that if we as Bitcoiners, as Corey wrote in his very, very famous piece, The Race to Avoid the War, if we don't win the adoption race, there is going to be an inevitable clash between governments, fiat currencies, and Bitcoin, right? And the reason is simple. To use Christine Lagarde's own words, whose video we're going to play for you guys today, Bitcoin is an escape valve from government currencies, an escape valve from inflation. And they need you using government currencies. So if we don't win this adoption race, if we don't wake enough people the F up, yes, of course, they're going to try to ban it. Look at what happened in the UK. We covered this, I think it was either yesterday or the day before. January, I'm not making this up. January 6th, literally that day, UK citizens will be required to pass a test before they could purchase crypto and Bitcoin. Now you could say, okay, it's because of all the crypto scams and all that, blah, 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 blah. But forgive me, after everything that's happened after the last 3 years, if I'm a little bit skeptical if that is their actual motivations behind passing that type of legislation. So yeah, and you know what? Which is, I reference this book all the time. Highly recommend you read it if you're a Bitcoiner. This is all something the book The Sovereign Individual predicted back in the 90s. And the case that they were making was essentially the rise of information technologies would fundamentally change the relationship between the individual and the state, because the internet would empower individuals, not only giving them the ability to source alternative forms of media, of information, right? Look at how crazy. Did you guys know that the New York Times got their blue check or their verification badge removed? Because apparently they were peddling some type of BS or something like that. But the reason I brought that up is it's a great example of how media has been democratized because of the internet, right? So anybody, if you're at home, if you're in your garage, doesn't matter. You can buy a camera, you could buy a microphone. And if you're good at what you do, and if you provide value to your viewer, you'll start to build up an audience over time. Of course, if you put in the proof of work, right? And, you know, the legacy institutions have to compete with all these millions of individuals all around the world that aren't bought by special interests. So therefore, they have the ability to tell the truth, right? So, and then add to that mix, right? Just sprinkle it in there, how the internet has enabled people to use Bitcoin. So it's not only the disintermediation of information, but also the disintermediation of money. And it's kind of overlapping. It's happening at the same time, and it's causing chaos a little bit, right? Because all these systems of control, whether it's the control over information, over the control on money, are slowly starting to kind of shift up. They're slowly starting to shake up a little bit. And, you know, I think it's causing, you know, a lot of chaos for governments that have been used to having a monopoly on the truth, as like Nayib Bukele said in his very famous article, "Don't Drink the Elite's Kool-Aid." And also monopoly on the control, the issuance of money, and also the control of money, right? So yeah, it's pretty crazy stuff. So bunker down, fasten up your seat belts, take your Bitcoin into self-custody, not your keys, not your Bitcoin. And it's going to be a crazy ride. Anyways, my co-host isn't smiling today. So that is definitely a mole. Opti is not here. I'm going to do the show by myself today. Just kidding. He's smiling. He's smiling.
I already told you why. I poked my eardrum last night with a Q-tip, and I'm kind of hurting this morning, guys. I'm in pain right now. But anyways, it doesn't matter. The show goes on. Yeah, man.
People are expecting optimistic Opti.
Guys, I'm telling you, this West Coast time is really messed up. I don't have enough time to get my coffee to blood ratio going correctly, so that I am just absolutely jacked on coffee yet. I can only get enough coffee going through in the morning over here on the West Coast. So, you know, it goes, man. All I need is a Nico Jones rant, and then my blood starts boiling. So like halfway through the show is when I'm like ready to go. So forgive me, guys. Forgive me. I'll be back home next week. I'm staying for some family stuff, so I'll be back to normal geeked out Opti on the show. But yeah, man, crazy stuff. Shouts out to Christine Lagarde. She's obviously very mad at me. I'm sure you guys saw that Bitcoin Bugle article that broke the news yesterday that my messages got leaked with her, and she's very mad. So you can tell why she's constantly talking about CBDCs, doubling down on CBDCs. I guess my pillow talk didn't work, guys. I tried. I tried on both fronts to get her to embrace Bitcoin and for myself to get close to the money printer. Neither of them worked. So, you know, I'm just taking the L. It's okay. Whatever.
Dude, so I remember, speaking of Opti on coffee, I remember when we did the BitBlock Boom live stream. We've never done this before. It was like the first one. And we go live, and then Opti takes the microphone. Like the first thing you do is you play the sound for it. And you're like, we're back. And I'm like looking at you. I'm like, bro, welcome to the BitBlock Boom live stream, bro. So that's what happens when Opti's not on enough coffee.
I've become a coffee addict.
That was, to me, a highlight. That was beautiful. That moment to me. I'll never forget it. Never forget it. Anyways, everybody, let's jump into the show. We got a lot to talk about today. Let's check it out.
The Bitcoin numbers.
Is your Bitcoin in cold storage really secure? Is your seed phrase really secure? Stamp Seed's do-it-yourself kit has everything you need to hammer your seed words into commercial-grade titanium plates instead of just writing them on paper. Don't store your generational wealth on paper. Paper is prone to water damage, fire damage. You want to put your generational wealth on one of the strongest metals on planet Earth, titanium. Your words are actually stamped into this metal plate with this hammer and these letter stamps. And once your words are in, they aren't going anywhere. No risk of the plate breaking apart and pieces falling everywhere. Titanium stamped seeds will survive nearly triple the heat produced by a house fire. They're also crush-proof, waterproof, non-corrosive, and time-proof. All things that paper is not, allowing you to hodl your Bitcoin with peace of mind for the long haul. Stamp your seed on Stamp Seed. All right, guys, I made it super freaking easy for you guys. All you got to do is scan the QR code on your right, use promo code SIMPLY, and get yourself a titanium Bitcoin seed phrase storage kit on stampseed.com. You want to save your Bitcoin, your generational wealth. You don't want to lose it because you stored it on paper. Here we go. The price of Bitcoin at the time of recording is 29,565 sats per dollar, 3,382. Block height 813,071. Blocks to halving 26,929. Halving estimate April 21st, 2024. Total Lightning Network capacity 5,369 Bitcoin. Capacity value 158 million US dollars. Realized monetary inflation 1.74%, continuing to take fiat currencies to absolute school. Market capitalization of Bitcoin $577 billion of the B. Bitcoin versus gold market cap 4.36%. In the grand scheme of things, Bitcoin is still a baby. Now, one of the things I wanted to point out, I say this every single day, I'm going to continue saying it. Once the Bitcoin market cap reaches the market cap of gold, that will put it at 500K per coin. Anyways, so here's the big news. This is a video that was released by let's be serious for a sec. Christine Lagarde, who is the president of the European Central Bank. She released this meme. Let's call it what it is, because this is mematic warfare on the battlegrounds of the internet. Narrative trench warfare, hand to hand, one meme at a time. And remember, they have the same capabilities as us. So just like we can post videos and we can post pictures, they can do that as well, right? So this is a form of look, you can define it however which you like, but like this is no different than if Opti stood in front of this like weird looking purple green screen and he just dictated you wore a suit and dictated you a message, right? So like it's no different. Like you could say, oh no, but this is the president of the European Central Bank. You know, this is legitimate. You know, one of the key words in this tweet is the euro is key to our European unity. A digital euro exists alongside cash, would future-proof our currency. It would be safe, easy to use, and free of charge. While the decision whether to issue a digital euro will be taken later, we're now launching the preparation phase. Right, which is very similar to what they did in the United States. They launched the Fed Now program, which in my opinion is the first iteration of an American central bank digital currency. They launched it about a month after they denied Caitlin Long's federal banking charter. Coincidences, right? And again, to launch a CBDC in the United States, they would need full approval from Congress. Now, I'm not the only one who's skeptical. The governor of Florida passed a law explicitly forbidding central bank digital currencies in Florida as a preemptive measure, and he's made the claim. He said the quiet part out loud. It's not me. The governor of Florida said CBDCs are surveillance. They're for surveillance. They're for surveillance and control. This isn't Bitcoiners saying this. These are real people in real positions of authority and power that have been elected, right? So I watched it for the first time yesterday on Simply Sessions, and it's a lot more dystopian than you would think. There's a lot of aggressivity in the way that she says it. And it's like very 1984-ish. Like, you know, and again, it all comes with the guise of like, look, guys, this is democratic. We're doing this with legislative authority. You're going to have a choice to use cash or the CBDC. We're not going to get rid of cash. But what if you don't want to use either, right? What if you don't want to use a CBDC or cash? What if you just want to use a better money? And that better money is Bitcoin. What about that, right? Because I don't believe that if there would be a fair competition between a CBDC and Bitcoin, if you put them side by side, let's compare the two things, right? One is going to be censored and controlled as much as they say they won't do that. History has shown they will. Remember the Canadian truckers protest. And they're going to want to debase it and inflate it, right? Then, also, not to mention the fact that if you compare that to Bitcoin, it's censorship resistant and there's a cap supply. So over time, where do you think people are going to go to? If they had a choice between the two systems, where are they going to flow? I think they're going to flow in one direction, right? It's just better money, sounder money. Right? So, but if government, like common sense, but if governments benefit tremendously from having the power of being able to create money for free that everyone else has to work for, what do you think they're going to try to do? Which is why I named the video today what I named it, right? Anyways, I'm going to play you guys the video, and then there's an article that I want to show you guys as well, specifically referring to what Christine Lagarde called Bitcoin. Anyways, let's check out the video.
The digital euro is on the move. Yesterday, the Governing Council of the ECB approved the opening of the preparation phase. It will be a journey, and we will walk the journey together with the legislator. All European institutions will be involved to make sure that Europe is equipped with the currency of the future. Cash is here to stay. You will have all options, cash and digital cash. So what does it mean for you? For consumers, it would be free and easy to use everywhere in the euro area. All of that, of course, is subject to the legislative process. Cash or digital, the choice will be yours. Your euro, your choice.
My Bitcoin, my choice. That's what I gotta say. And if I I really want to use the B word, like, because that would have emphasized it. My Bitcoin, my choice. B. Anyways, moving on. Okay, so what has Christine Lagarde said in the past about Bitcoin? This is a very famous video that was going around. I actually found the exact quote. European regulators and the IMF in tune. Oh, how coincident. Like, what a coincidence, right? This is the same IMF that criticized El Salvador, the same IMF that gave Argentina another bailout, but part of that bailout came with the condition that they had to de-incentivize the adoption of Bitcoin within the country, even though the country, you know, is suffering from 100% inflation, that IMF. So it makes sense. Anyways, it goes on to say, according to Lagarde, Bitcoin represents a risk whose regulation must get applied on a global scale. Otherwise, it could serve as an escape valve. If you still don't believe me, here's a video, Walker of America, shout out, check out his new podcast. I think it's called The Bitcoin Podcast. And, you know, he replied to Christine Lagarde, right? I love how it already got kind of community noted. That's absolutely hilarious. Wait, the EDBP argues that the digital euro faces several hurdles such as shaky privacy and anonymity safeguards, possibly limiting choice, accelerating cash displacement, and allowing spending tracking. The digital euro doesn't offer clear benefits, but has many risks. So even their own freaking thing got community noted. Anyways, that's hilarious. Okay. Moving on. Here is Walker America responding to Christine Lagarde. This is why, guys, this is what I emphasize this in the beginning of the show. This is narrative trench warfare on the battlegrounds of the internet. You're winning over the hearts and minds of people. We must win the race to avoid the war. We must win the adoption race. Anyways, all they have is lies and misrepresentations. All we have to do is shine truth and expose hypocrisy. That's it. Anyways. So Walker said, for anyone curious about what a CBDC will actually mean for you, here's the straight truth from the horse's mouths.
You think about the benefits of digital money, there are huge potential gains. It's not just about digital forms of physical currency. You can have programmability, units of central bank currency with expiry dates. You could have, as I argue in my book, a potentially better and some people might see it, or a darker world where the government decides that units of central bank money can be used to purchase some things, but not other things that it deems less desirable, like say ammunition or drugs or pornography or something of the sort. And that is very powerful in terms of the use of a CBDC.
We are proposing that we would give a secure, efficient, inclusive access to digital payments to all citizens. And this way we would protect their freedom to pay.
Now we have in Europe this threshold. Above 1,000 euros, you cannot pay cash. If you do, you are on the grey market.
We want to complement cash. We want to expand the capacity of European consumers to pay with sovereign money.
You take your risk. You get caught, you are fined, or you go in jail.
That's right, ladies and gentlemen. If you spend more than 1,000 euros in Europe, you are part of the gray market and you will go to jail. But at the same time, they're literally saying that it's going to be inclusive and secure. They also mentioned that it's going to give the ability, this is coming from their mouths, not ours, that it's going to allow expiration dates. So inflation is not enough, ladies and gentlemen. Your money has to expire as well. Not to mention the controls, right? And of course, they always mention, you know, the drugs, the terrorism, you know, all that bad stuff, right? The stuff that you can make an argument as to why, okay, you know, maybe that shouldn't be legal and whatnot. And of course, that's a whole other debate. But that, in my opinion, is used as a straw man because as the Canadian truckers protest has shown, they have censored money for political reasons as well. This has also happened in the United States. So what Bitcoiners have concluded is no one should have the ability to create money for free that another human being else has to work for. And no human being should have the right to censor another human being. And that is in stark contrast to what central bank digital currencies will allow governments to do. This is a political commentator. I think you could call her an activist from the Netherlands. She's been on Tucker Carlson and she lives in Europe. So like, obviously she has a lot more at stake. She says, the digital euro is upon us. She quoted Lagarde's words, "It'll be a journey. Quote, straight to a totalitarian hell in which we will decide what you may and may not spend your money on." She left out. And I completely agree. Now, this is predictable. Why is this predictable? Well, I love the thought logic that the authors use to write this book, The Sovereign Individual, right? They all kind of centered it around the theory of violence, right? It's a lot easier to steal something from someone else than it is to make it, right? And using that theory, they based this book and they based these predictions. Some of them turned out to be wrong, but I think they really hit the nail on the head in terms of predicting the rise of Bitcoin. And what the implications of the rise of a non-state money of which governments cannot shut down, therefore they're forced to compete with, and what the reaction from governments would be because they would be losing their privilege of creating and controlling money. So I think they hit the nail on the head, and we've read you guys this passage so many times, but I think it's very applicable here. It says new technologies will allow the holders of wealth to bypass the national monopolies that have issued and regulated money in the modern period. Their importance for controlling the world's wealth will be transcended by mathematical algorithms that have no physical existence. In the new millennium, cyber money controlled by private markets will supersede fiat money issued by governments. Only the poor will be victims of inflation and ensuring collapses into deflation that are consequences of the artificial leverage which fiat money injects into the economy. Lacking their accustomed scope to tax and inflate, governments even in traditionally civil countries will turn nasty. Businesses that offer services that facilitate the realization of autonomy by individuals will be the subject to infiltration, sabotage, and disruption. Arbitrary forfeiture of property, already commonplace in the United States where it occurs 5,000 times a week, will become even more pervasive. Governments will violate human rights, censor the free flow of information, sabotage useful technologies, and worse. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is why I said in the title, I believe that Europe will try to ban Bitcoin if we don't win the race to avoid the war. I'll read you the first passage from Corey's piece. You can find it on swan.com. We Bitcoiners are in a race, perhaps the most important race we'll ever run. We are racing against time to drive the adoption of Bitcoin as fast as we can. We are racing toward a future in which the US government never coordinates a concerted attack against Bitcoin and Bitcoiners. This is a race to avoid the war. How do we win this race? We need an intransigent minority. We need a percentage of the population that become Bitcoiners, that are hardcore Bitcoiners, that become immovable on that subject. The example that I would give to you guys is anytime they tried to pass gun laws in the United States, it's almost impossible. Why? Because a large percentage of the American public own guns. So even as much as the government, it's like, no, I don't like that, citizens and individuals own guns. It's very difficult for them to pass a law against it. Now, Europe is a little bit harder because I think their government is so centralized, but at least in the United States, there's somewhat more sovereignty with the individual states and how the individual states could legislate differently. So even, God forbid, there's a federal Bitcoin ban, which at this point, with the adoption of the rate of adoption, I think it's unlikely, but you never know the future. I think that there's a high probability that Bitcoin would go the way of the marijuana industry, where even though on a federal level, marijuana is illegal, on a state level, California, Colorado, I think Washington State, Oregon, numerous other states that I can't name off the top of my head, it's legal on a state level. So I think in the US, like, they're effed. But in places like Europe, right, where, where it's a much more centralized government, I mean, that could be a lot harder, for sure, 100%. So yeah, you could say whatever you want about the title, but I truly believe it. And I really mean it in the sense that this is a call to action, right? This is take agency, right? Orange pill the people around you. Get them to understand that it's not red versus blue. It's green versus orange, the party of central bank digital currencies versus the party of Bitcoin, the party of Bitcoin, the party of peace, prosperity, opportunity, optimism. So what side do you want to be on? That's the question that I have for you guys. So yeah, this is, I think Corey hit the nail on the head. This is the race to avoid the war. That's what I got to say about that. And my question to you, Opti, is like, bro, like, what did you do to this woman, man? Like, God damn, she is so vengeful. Like, why did you, like, I think Opti is solely responsible for the creation of central bank digital currencies because of how poorly he treated Augustin, Janet Yellen, and Christine Lagarde. You broke their hearts, and look at where we are, Opti. Look at what you did, man.
Well, as the saying goes, good intentions are what paved the road to hell, or whatever. I tried. I did my best, guys. Nah, we're trolling. We're obviously trolling. But anyways, back to this video, and then I'll maybe do some justice to Nico Jones' rants. First and foremost, this is the power of memes, guys. Like, everything is memes. It's memes all the way down. Like Christine Lagarde's clean production, reading from the teleprompter, like it's all memes. And then Nico always says it, I think best, is saying like they're coming to our battlefield, and we are the ones in control of the truth, of the narratives, of the memetic warfare that is going on, the guerrilla war that is the memetic land field. And it's just beautiful to see them try to come to our arena, try to battle with us in memes. And of course, they are never able to, because they don't have the truth on their side, and memes are powerful because they have the truth. Anyways, to some of the things that she was saying, cash is digital. They're obviously here to maintain control. It seemed like an announcement of a CBDC. I kind of find that hilarious, to be honest. And remember the article, I forget which one it is, Nico, but it was coming out of the US, how they were talking about the future of digital payments, the future of digital currencies, and they never mentioned Bitcoin. And here we are, ECB President Christine Lagarde saying CBDCs is the currency of the future. Like, no, it's not. It's going to be Bitcoin. It's obvious that it's going to be Bitcoin if you're following this closely. Again, they wouldn't be doing this stuff if Bitcoin wasn't winning so hard. Like, they wouldn't have ever even tried to roll out a CBDC if everyone was okay with the traditional fiat digital payments that we were working with, or the fiat currencies, because we all know, your dollar, the euro, it's all digital already. But really, Bitcoin is going to be the digital cash. Bitcoin is that digital cash. Bitcoin is that peer-to-peer digital payment system, as it says in the white paper. And, she said something that I find very hilarious and also very, very telling. She said the choice will be yours. And yes, it will be. And I choose Bitcoin. There is a choice here. And it's not the binary dichotomy that they're showing in your face. It's not between digital cash in the CBDC system or cash in its physical form or a digital version of it. It's basically the fiat parasitic classes money and Bitcoin. And remember what CBDC stands for, guys. I'm going to continue to harp on this meme. It doesn't stand for central bank digital currency. It stands for central bank digital control. This is what it's all about. It's all about control. They even said it themselves, programmable money. They want to be able to, with surgical precision, control your money, your savings. They want expiry dates on your savings. What kind of ridiculous stuff is this where you can't even save your money?
Did you see how giddy he got when he was talking about those things? He was so happy.
It's insane.
You could tell, he was just oh man, it's gonna allow all these things. He was so happy when he was talking about this shit.
So much cool stuff. It really sounds like shitcoin propaganda out there. Dude, we're gonna add so much cool stuff to this programmable money. So, most of it is, control and expiry dates on your money, so you can't save it. Don't be a hoarder, guys. That's bad for the economy. We want to incentivize you to spend your money, and it's what? It's literally just doubling down on you will own nothing and be happy. And now you will have digital incentives from the government to spend your money. It's this is absolute madness. This is crazy. This is literally also destroying one of the main properties of money. It's being able to store your value. Do these people, and they're economists too, these are the smart people in control of the economy, and they don't even understand the basic premises of money. You need to store your money. Money needs to hold value through space and time, and they're trying to incentivize you to spend it more. It's this is absolutely ludicrous clown world stuff. But on the flip side, I think we could argue that this is just absolutely bullish. They are accelerating as they are losing control. This is so bullish because opt out of this madness. You don't have to choose between their binary choices. Literally turn the chessboard over, opt into Bitcoin. You don't need their permission. You have a choice. It is Bitcoin or slavery. And even their propaganda is saying this in, they're saying the quiet part out loud. It's Bitcoin or slavery. But of course, to the title of this, yes, they will probably try. I've been saying it all week. I've been saying it for months now. A direct attack on Bitcoin right now is bad PR because it just proves why you need Bitcoin in the first place. So, of course, can't ban Bitcoin. You can only ban yourself from Bitcoin. So, Christine Lagarde, have fun staying poor. But you, the citizen out there, don't have to have fun staying poor. You have a choice. Opt out of this. You need to save something that is completely outside of their control, which of course is Bitcoin. It is a parallel system that they cannot control, that they cannot debase. It's so simple that we always have to beat the fundamentals back into everyone's brains out there because it's all about the money. Metaphorically, of course. It's all about the money. It will always be about the money until you take away the money printer from them. We're going to be doing this for a long time until people wake up and stop trusting these people. Then we're going to constantly have to be in the trenches, in the information war, in the memetic guerrilla war, and just dropping that hot fire and making sure we're planting them seeds of freedom into everyone we know.
Oof. And we're winning. We're winning. Do you guys just realize that the New York Times got their blue check removed when they tried to community note Pierre Richard's video? It got taken down. And the president of the European Central Bank just got community noted with the fact check that literally says basically calling BS on her claims. And the intensity of that video tells me that they're scared. That's what that tells me, right? That they're trying to roll this out as soon as humanly possible because they see the writing on the wall. And we know whether this was a Freudian slip, whether she meant to say this on purpose or not. We know how they feel, right? She literally said it. She's like, this is an escape valve, right? Escape from what exactly, right? It's never talked about. Anyways, guys, I want to give a shout out to our sponsor, Bitcoin 2024. This is going to be the largest Bitcoin conference on planet Earth. You definitely don't want to miss it. It's going to be in Nashville, Tennessee. It's not going to be in Miami this year. The year of the halving. You're not going to want to miss it. July 25th through the 27th, 2024. For a GA ticket, it's $349. For an industry pass, which includes access to Industry Day, it's $849. And for a whale pass, it's $4,749. Opti and I are going to be at Bitcoin 2024. It's going to be an awesome Bitcoin celebration. Nashville's an amazing city. Definitely don't want to miss it. And you can use promo code SIMPLY to get yourself a 10% discount on the already discounted tickets. All right, everybody, let's move on to the news.
The Daily News.
I want to give a shout out to our sponsor, Foundation Devices. It's self-custody done right. They built a premium grade hardware wallet called Passport right here in the US. It's fully open source and verifiable. It's the most intuitive Bitcoin wallet designed with a UX reminiscent of a simple feature phone. So you will know how to navigate it and use it the moment you pick it up. Get your Bitcoin off exchanges and into your own hands in just a few minutes. Experience the peace of mind that comes with taking ownership of your own keys. After a massive sellout during Bitcoin Miami 2023, the Passport is back in stock at foundationdevices.com. Bitcoin only, open source verifiable, completely air gap security model, gorgeous design craft, premium grade materials. If you're thinking about getting your Bitcoin off exchanges, this is the one for you. Check out the Passport link in the show notes below to learn more. All right, guys, I made it super easy for you guys. Look, you can scan the QR code on your screen. It's literally floating on the screen. It's right there. No, it's right there, right there. And it will take you directly to the Foundation Devices website, where you can get yourself a Passport hardware wallet. Not your keys, not your Bitcoin. Highly recommend it. It's completely open source. Definitely check it out. All right, everybody. So let's talk about what we're going to talk about today. But first, I want to set the tone with a quote from Winston Churchill. Winston Churchill was the Prime Minister of the United Kingdom during World War II. He says, "Never let a good crisis go to waste." And I think that technique, I think a lot of politicians have used for a very, very long time. And that leads me to the latest of the latest from Senator Elizabeth Warren, the anti-Bitcoin senator, right? She literally made it part of her campaign that she is anti-Bitcoin. I don't know how feasible that it's going to be in the long run, but in this moment in time, they think it's a good idea. So she says, U.S. Senator Warren leads lawmakers to push administration on crypto-backed terrorism. In a letter to top U.S. security officials, 102 lawmakers demanded to know what the Treasury Department and others are doing to prevent the use of crypto to finance terrorism. Goes on to say, U.S. senators led more than 100 lawmakers in demanding top officials share their plans for heading off crypto finance terrorism. The bipartisan group of lawmakers from both the Senate and the House of Representatives signed a letter dated on Tuesday to National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan and Brian Nelson, Undersecretary for Terrorism and Financial Intelligence at the Department of the Treasury. They cited reports that crypto funds had supported Hamas in the months before its attack on Israel, with the group directly soliciting Bitcoin donations. Quote, "Given the clear and present danger posed by the financing of these and other militant organizations, we ask the administration to provide additional details on its plan to prevent the use of crypto for financing terrorism," they requested in the letter. Congress and the administration must take strong action to thoroughly address crypto illicit finance risks before it can be used to finance another tragedy. You know what is also used to finance terrorism? Dollars. You know what is primarily used to finance terrorism? Dollars. Why don't they talk about dollars? Because they can't control it. And again, I'm going to reference back this quote, "Never let a good crisis go to waste." And let's take a look at the bill that Senator Elizabeth Warren and senators also on the Republican side, like Senator Graham, Let's take a look at the bill that they're currently trying to pass. Legislation to close loopholes and combat money laundering, ransomware attacks, sanctions evasions, drug trafficking, elder fraud, and other illicit financial flows in crypto. So let's take a look at the legislation and what it's going to require. Extend Bank Secrecy Act responsibilities, including know your customer requirements, to digital asset wallet providers, miners, validators, and other network participants that may act to validate, secure, or facilitate digital asset transactions. So that means that this and your favorite software wallet, whether it's Sparrow, Electrum, Blue Wallet, Spectre, whatever floats your boat, this law would require those wallets to KYC you before you use them. Miners, I don't even know if that's possible, which I just think that this is just a de facto ban. Validators, that's your node that you're running at home. I recommend the Start9, by the way. It's absolutely badass. And there's a discount code down below in the video description. Check it out. Anyways, validators, nodes, they would have to KYC too. And other network participants that may act to validate, secure, and facilitate digital asset transactions. Address a major gap with respect to, quote, unhosted digital wallets, right? So not only do they want to KYC wallets, but the unhosted wallets, meaning if you take self-custody, there's a major gap. That's a problem. They don't want people taking self-custody of wealth. I mean, remember the 6102 order? FDR basically making it illegal for Americans to hold gold. The reason that they were able to pull that off the way they did was because of gold's physical characteristics, which led to its centralization. So a lot of people, if they held a large amount of gold, they stored it in banks. So when they passed that law, the banks just said, oh, you know what? It's not yours anymore. It's illegal. It's to the government. But if you have millions upon millions of individuals taking self-custody, which is what we recommend on this show every single day, using Electrum, Sparrow, Blue Wallet, Spectre, so many open source software wallets, and then putting that Bitcoin into cold storage, using a hardware wallet. Passport is awesome. There's a cold card. There's Trezor. There's Ledger if you want to use that for whatever reason. There's Bitbox. Then it becomes incredibly difficult for them to seize people's wealth. And I think that is the motivation behind this wording in reality. And this Winston Churchill quote, never let a good crisis go to waste. Well, they definitely didn't let the absolute tragedy that is happening in Israel, they didn't let that go to waste to use that as a justification in order to attack Bitcoin. And they're telling you exactly what they want. They're telling you KYC wallets, miners, nodes, and unhosted wallets. Now, we can't have that. That's the danger. That's bad. So kind of tie this in with what we were talking about in the beginning of the show. The race to avoid the war. How do we beat this? How do we beat this, right? By waking people up, by unifying people, by saying it's not left versus right, whatever party's in power, whether it's Democrat or Republican, they still print a ton of money. If you're in the lower middle classes, you don't have the means to save in assets, therefore you get poorer. What you're earning in, what you're saving in is devalued, right? So, to use Christine Lagarde, I'm going to all tie this in together, to use Christine Lagarde's words from the very beginning of the show. They don't like that escape valve. They really don't like that escape valve. And as more and more and more people choose to use that escape valve, and that you're especially noticing this in the global south, where people have just lost faith in their currency. So they're forced to seek an alternative out of necessity. I think they're going to get more and more desperate, and like a wounded animal trapped into a corner. That's when it's most dangerous, right? So our defense against this is educating individuals, waking them up to the reality of a lot of the political divisions that are happening right now are caused by broken incentives and broken money. If you fix the money, you fix the incentives. And if you fix the incentives, you fix the world. So this is literally what it's about. This is what's at stake. It's up to you. It's in your hands. What type of future do you want your kids, your grandchildren to live in? Do you want a future where someone like this is telling you what you can and can't do with your money? Or do you want to be the one to decide what you can and cannot do with your money? Anyways, that's my take on today's news. I know it's a little bit dark today, but hopefully we lighten it up with the culture and the memes, bro. But that
the memes for sure.
That Chrissy Lagarde video, man, it put I saw that and I was like, holy cow. Like it made me a little bit upset. I'm not gonna lie. It didn't strike me the right way, man. That video did not feel too good, you know? Anyways, what's your take on this? What's your take on the anti-Bitcoin senator, Opti?
Yeah, well, before I do that, shouts out to everyone on Rumble. The chat's lit over there. I finally figured out how to work Rumble so I could see the chat. Shouts out to everyone over there. It's getting lively over there. So really, really good to see. Hopefully it goes up. And when we're able to get the Rumble chat on to Restream and pull your guys' comments up, know that we will. Anyways, to your question, what do I think about the anti-Bitcoin politicians? It's kind of something I've been saying for a while. I just wish politicians would remember their oath to work for the people. I thought this was, home of the brave, land of the free. I thought America was the land of freedom. And here we are with freedom money. And these politicians, these psychopaths, these parasites, these lizard people, as Alex Stanzik always says, are doing their best to fight freedom. Like, Bitcoin is freedom money. And of course we know why. Of course the politicians are doing their best and incentivized to work for big banks and the interest in the lobbying groups, because they know what we know, guys. The control of the money printer is why they have become rich. It is why they have been able to maintain power. And if you disintermediate that, if you expose the fraud that is the traditional financial world, then of course they are going to lose everything. And that's literally what we're after, guys. Like, this is a game for all the power. And we're finally going to bring the world back on a level playing field, on a world where you have to provide value, and politicians do not provide value at all. And so, of course, they're going to fight Bitcoin. Of course, Elizabeth Warren, who, if I am not mistaken, was very popular during the Occupy Wall Street stuff, and, was supposedly fighting for the little man until she got in office and got bought and paid for. Now she's literally bidding for the banks. Like, you can't make this shit up. And anyways, I am not surprised at this, but also, Nico, there is a good article that dropped this morning on Forbes, literally countering this exact thing that Elizabeth Warren is talking about basically terrorists using Bitcoin to finance themselves and money launder and stuff. And the article was basically saying the opposite. And I'm glad you brought the quote up of don't let a, what is it? I'm blanking right now. Don't let a crisis go unwasted or whatever.
Yeah, don't let a good
crisis and so the article on Forbes was basically showing the exact opposite, that Hamas used Bitcoin to, fundraise. And then they realized that, oh my God, it's a public ledger and everything that's on the ledger can be tracked. And oh my God, it's not anonymous, it's pseudonymous. And if you don't know what you're doing, it's very transparent by design, guys. We know, and there's constant receipts on this, and you can go look them up. I'm sure we've brought them on the show as well. Financial criminals, quote unquote, terrorists or money laundering is like a minuscule 0.01% of the transaction, the volume on Bitcoin. Like the real criminals are using money, guys. Are using cash. Sorry. We all know this. Of course, they are rolling out new technology with the same old fears that they've done forever. Remember they were saying about like the internet, it's gonna enable pornographers and terrorists and all kinds of stuff, and like they're just using the same excuses constantly when new technology comes out. Like, of course, the illiterate, computer illiterate, old, boomers out there that don't understand how the world works, don't understand technology, do the same thing over and over. They are absolutely afraid of technology because it's going to shake things up and they don't want things to change. And here we are. We have Bitcoin. It's not going to get stopped. Sorry, Elizabeth Warren. It's just not going to happen. Like Bitcoin is here. You can't stop it. It's a little too little too late. And as much as you try to fight it, it just proves to me that I need to hold more and more Bitcoin. It will slowly but surely wake everyone up to the same thing. If your government doesn't like Bitcoin, there's probably a reason. It's because Bitcoin is good and it takes away the power from them. Like, it's so simple. Every problem of the world is because they have control of the money printer, because they have unlimited fiat printing abilities. And now you can't debase our currency. It's literally, I even said this to my mom, a little side tangent. We were talking about something different. I forget what it is. And I just started ranting. I'm like, look, it's literally this simple. Are you against looting or are you for theft? Like, I am against theft. I am against looting. And any politician that is anti-Bitcoin is just actively telling you they are for looting. They agree in theft. They like theft and murder. You can't.
But elaborate, right? Because like that could be like construed as rhetoric, right? So it's like any politician that is against Bitcoin is for looting, for stealing. I think you hit the nail on the head. But like, why is that? Like,
inflation is theft. The more they print money,
exactly.
The more they print money, the poorer you get. It's a wealth redistribution mechanism, guys. The more money they print, the richer them and their friends get, because they are printing money, allocating it to them and their friends' businesses. Once you get the money, eventually, trickle-down economics, the fabled trickle-down economics, your purchasing power gets destroyed. You are literally getting poorer. Every politician that is fighting Bitcoin now, draw a line in the sand. They are for theft. They are for looting. They are for stealing your future. I don't know about you, but that 100%. Shit pisses me off. I do not like theft. I do not like looters. This is what we're trying to do here on Bitcoin. It's provide value as much as possible. The only way to get Bitcoin is by taking Bitcoin from someone else. You can't debase your currency. You have to provide a product that someone is willing to give up their Bitcoin for. What product are politicians providing towards you? They say my roads, but my roads are fucking trashed. Like, they don't provide good services. What is going on? How is this so, like, how do people not get this? But of course, we're the crazy Bitcoiners. And I just fully like Alex Jones this. So like, obviously this message isn't going to get across by anyone that's listening to this just because I got so triggered. But it's just like, it's so simple, man. Like, your politicians out there that are fighting Bitcoin, whether they're central bankers or bureaucrats.
Maybe we stepped a little bit out of the Overton window.
I got pissed
today.
off. I apologize.
Slightly a little bit.
Your politicians are for looting.
But I'll tell you this: our Rumble audience is popping the fuck up. 62 followers in there today. Okay, but let's actually break down, like, Opti used a lot of very powerful rhetoric.
I got triggered. I was yelling. I
words.
apologize.
So let's kind of break it down, like why we make the case that if you're against Bitcoin, you're for theft, right? So essentially, if you're against Bitcoin, you are supporting central bank digital currencies, you're supporting fiat, right? Built in by design into fiat is the devaluation of currency, right? So the devaluation of your purchasing power, the data shows that affects the lower and middle classes the most. So if a politician is against Bitcoin, they're for fiat, and fiat money has inflation baked in, which a lot of Bitcoiners make the argument that inflation is theft. I believe that as well. Maybe you could, some academic could say, no, that's not technically right. Like, I don't know how that's not right. It's a tax, like it's a form of taxation. Look, Bitcoin has proven that money can exist, that not only does it not lose purchasing power, it actually increases in purchasing power over time because there's a cap supply. So it's proven that there's an alternative to fiat currencies. Now, what they would like you to believe, the Keynesians, is that the world would burn down, spontaneously combust, because if you don't have inflation, people aren't going to spend and buy shit. I think that's bullshit. I'm calling bullshit on that. Like, look, you're going to live your life. You're going to want to buy things, right? Just because, like,
wealth effect is real.
I'm still going to want an iPhone or like an Android, or, like if a new phone comes out and I like it, I'm still going to I'm still going to buy it. I'm still going to buy, I love tech. So like, I'm still going to buy a computer. I'm still going to buy a camera. I'm still going to buy a microphone, right? Like it's like, it's not going to stop me from buying things. So yeah. So I think, I agree with the rhetoric might be strong. It might be a little bit out of the Overton window, right? But in essence, I do agree with you. 100%. I do agree. It might be like, it's like, I do agree. I think that if you're against Bitcoin, you're against freedom, you're against, you're for money that steals from people. Like, and, you could spin it in any type of way, and you could like kind of say that, no, that's not true. Like, but like, please present to me a counter argument. Like, please. Like, I don't see one, right? Because like, okay, so if you're against Bitcoin, then you're for fiat money. Okay, fine. You're for fiat money. The government should have the ability to issue money, but what about inflation? Then you talk about, okay, but what if they get it to this 2% inflation? Okay, they get it to this 2% inflation. It's still losing 2% of purchasing power a year. And that compounds over time. And that's in stark contrast with Bitcoin, which your purchasing power increases over time. So, I mean, like, one is obviously better for the individual than the other. And okay, and the argument that they would say is like, no, the volatility. Yeah, okay, fine. There's volatility, but that volatility over a year, a 3-year, and a 5-year time scale, it goes up and to the right. Right? And fiat is literally designed to go down and to the right forever. So you can say maybe on a short-term basis that, yeah, the volatility is crazy. Okay, fine. You can make that argument. It's a fair argument, right? But you can't deny that over a 5-year time scale, over the last 10 years, Bitcoin has been a better money than fiat currencies, period. The data's there. It's freaking undeniable at this point. I've been living under a Bitcoin standard for 7 years. It's been a great decision. Opti, roughly the same amount of time. I don't think I've met someone who has fully gone on to a Bitcoin standard that has gone on to tell me, oh, I regret it, I'm going to go back to fiat. I don't think I've met someone who's ever told me that in my life. I've met people that bought the top and then they get demoralized, and then they get, they're like, oh, I don't want to partake in this anymore. But I've never met someone who held. They held, right? They experienced the pain. They paid the price of tuition, like Nayib Bukele and Michael Saylor are doing right now, right? And they made it over the hill. They made it to the other side. I've never met someone that's like, you know what? Those dollars, I'm going to go back to them. They're great. They're delicious. I love those $1,000 limits. This is wonderful. Like, no, I don't think I've ever met someone that has made that argument to me before. So yeah, like Opti's rhetoric might be like be intense and be like strong and like whatever, but
okay,
yeah,
Nick, Opti Jones in the chat today.
I agree with you, bro. I agree with you. Anyways, I want to give a very special shout out to our sponsor, Kaboom Rocks. They're the best place to buy Bitcoin mining equipment. the most trusted place to buy, sell, and host mining equipment. You have to check out their racks. You can check out their inventory on Telegram. You can do that by scanning the QR code on your screen or check the video description. And you can connect with a member of their sales team. They make purchasing mining products easy and transparent. You could also sell mining equipment. They have a vast network of domestic and international customers where you could sell your mining equipment with them. They're the best place to buy Bitcoin miners. If you want to start your Bitcoin mining utopia, your journey, check out Kaboom Racks. They're freaking awesome. Anyways, everybody, let's get to the meme review. Let's do it.
The Daily Meme Review.
I think it's culture, but we're running long. I could go straight to the meme review.
No. We're going to culture.
The Daily Culture.
Brought to you by SwanBitcoin.com. Swan is the best way to build your Bitcoin stack with automated Bitcoin savings plans and instant purchases, serving clients of any size from $10 to $10 million. We love Swan because they incentivize self-custody and dollar cost averaging. What are you waiting for? Visit SwanBitcoin.com today. I think that was the first time that's ever happened.
It's probably happened before. But anyways.
No, I don't think so. Yeah, no, but we catch it before.
I thought you were throwing a curveball. Anyways, that's besides the point. We are running. I guess maybe this is a Friday show and we'll run long anyways.
It's the Friday show.
All right, guys. So last week, if you hung out with us in Twitter Spaces, a pretty well-known Bitcoiner did a classic trope from like 2017 about how like hodling Bitcoin isn't enough, and I'm not going to do the whole hodl versus spending Bitcoin. It's very Keynesian as far as I'm concerned, but it sent me down a rabbit hole, and I know how much you guys love when I read the classics, and in my opinion, the classic Bitcoin literature. And so I was looking for something to go on this idea of like why hodling is important. Obviously, I've broken this down on the show multiple times. Your money needs to store value through time and space. What is hodling but just holding value through time? So don't let the scammers out there, because everyone's a scammer, tell you that you shouldn't be hodling Bitcoin. Of course you should hodl Bitcoin. But I came across this article on Nakamoto Institute. Shouts out to Pierre Rochard. It's 10 years old at this point, which is absolutely mind-blowing. And it basically, there was a line in there. I'm going to read it for you guys, but there's a line in there that is something we say all the time, and this is 10 years old, guys. There's no political solution to this. There's no political solution to fixing the current fiat system. It is opting out and getting on the Bitcoin standard. So I'm over here in Nakamoto Institute. Again, guys, I know everyone gets caught up on the new current thing, but highly recommend you go read the classics over there on nakamotoinstitute.org. Shouts out to Pierre Rochard and Bitstein. Absolute goats, wouldn't be here without them. Anyways, there's this article here, guys. And the Fed hoard Bitcoins. You know, he's using the Keynesian terminology of hoarding. I would call it hodling. I would call it savings. Hoarding is a good word, in my opinion, and not a bad word like the Keynesians would like you believe. Anyways, and the Fed, you're a hoarder. Why are you hoarding them coins? Give them to me. Spend them. Everyone's a scammer. Anyways, and the Fed hoard Bitcoins. Pierre Rochard, February 19th, 2013. Absolutely incredible. Pierre Rochard was able to write this 10 years ago, and he's still kicking ass out there and taking Wall Street Journal, or was it New York Times? Whatever. Anyways, just fucking owning them. Sorry. Anyways, let's read this, guys, because it is 10 years old, so I will update a few things, and I will show you where we've come since this and how we are exactly on plan, and it's happening exactly as designed. Anyways, let's read this, guys, for you guys that have not read it or are newer to Bitcoin. The libertarian strategy for undermining fiat currencies has always centered on making gold and silver viable alternatives. This effort has failed because it is impossible to compete against a digital currency, like the dollar, with a physical commodity due to the high transaction costs associated with the latter. The only way metals can succeed is if fiat fails. While it may be the case that fiat currencies inevitably collapse over the long run, waiting for this possibility is unacceptable given the amount of damage that central banks are inflicting on humanity's accumulation of capital. talk about this constantly. We even talked about it in the beginning of the show. The mantra of passing an audit the Fed bill, mirroring in scandal, and legalizing currency competition ignores public choice economics, as well as the fact that digital fiat currencies have already won the competition against metals and would win it again. We don't need another political solution to an economic problem. What we need is a more competitive market currency. Enter Bitcoin. Again, we say this all the time. There's no political solution. We don't need another political solution to an economic problem. What we need is a more competitive market currency. Enter Bitcoin. Low transaction costs make Bitcoin the most competitive medium of exchange in humanity's history. And it may be the case that a currency with even lower transaction costs is theoretically impossible. To learn more about Bitcoins, it's linked to another article. And here we go. Bitcoin, why it's superior. Here's a chart. Storage of Bitcoin is free, 100% reserve. Transportation is free and easy. Security is cryptographic. There is no fiduciary media. Record keeping is automatic. Counterfeiting is impossible. The issuance is algorithmically enforced. Payment clearing is cheap and distributed. The scarcity is fixed at 21 million hard cap, and authentication is built in. This is why you run nodes. Anyways, Bitcoin is slowly supplanting metallic and fiat mediums of exchange. It is currently transitioning from the innovators to early adopters phase. Here's the technological adoption life cycle. Who knows where we are, but we're probably in the early adopters era. Anyways, this transition is accelerated by new intermediaries like exchanges, and they use Coinbase, which you just know how outdated this is, that are driving down the cost of selling fiat money for Bitcoins. At the same time as demand is increasing, Bitcoin inflation slowed considerably due to the block reward halving, and we're about to see another one in April-ish. Anyways, the dollar value of all Bitcoins in existence now exceeds 500 billion. Here it was 300 million. Look at that growth. And this leads us to an interesting question. Is the values of Bitcoin a speculative bubble? The price of fiat currencies and the debts denominated in fiat is the bubble that will burst. The relevant question is when the purchasing power of Bitcoins will peak. The appreciations of Bitcoins relative to consumer goods will slow down when the adoption rate tapers off, and hoarders will use their gains to buy consumer goods. Again, hodlers will use their gains to buy consumer goods. Simultaneously, fiat currencies will be in a hyperinflationary tailspin, and real interest rates will be spiking. High interest rates will incentivize hoarders of Bitcoin to buy productive investment assets and lend to borrowers now unencumbered by fiat-denominated debts. At that point, Bitcoin's purchasing power for capital goods, i.e. interest rates, will decline, but the purchasing power for consumer goods will continue to drift higher due to productivity-fueled deflation. If you're interested in getting rid of central banking, I would recommend hoarding Bitcoins by transferring your dollars to an exchange and sending the Bitcoins you buy to a secure computer. This hoarding sets off a virtuous feedback loop that accelerates Bitcoin adoption. So here is where I kind of got into the original idea of like hodling is using Bitcoin. And then, of course, that there is no political solution to this. And look at this chart. It's so beautiful. Hoarding or hodling Bitcoin leads to a higher Bitcoin price, which leads to miner profitability and media attention. And with higher mining profitability, the total hashing power goes up, the security of the network goes up, and with that comes the perceived legitimacy. And with that comes more people adopting Bitcoin and more people hoarding Bitcoin, and then more businesses and merchants accepting Bitcoin. Well, this article was 10 years old. So, of course, hodling is a use case. And let's just update a few of the things we were talking about. First, higher...
Bro, he got it so right.
Yeah, so right. So, like 10 years ago, so right. All right, first one, higher interest rates. Well, as you guys have been following, and we all know Bitcoin Twitter's turned into macro. Fed's interest rate history, the federal fund rate from 1981 to the present. And the first literal sentences on this: the ultra low rates consumers had grown accustomed to since living in the throes of the 2008 financial crisis have all but certainly come to an end. In just a year and a half, and this was September 20th, 2023, when this was written or released, in just a year and a half, the Federal Open Market Committee has lifted interest rates 11 times, bringing its key federal fund rates to a target range of 5.25 to 5.5%. That's the highest since early 2001, a bank-run analysis of the Fed's moving throughout history showed. So, higher interest rates. Okay. What's the other thing he said? With more adoption, there will come more mining profitability and the hash rate will continue to go up. Well, where was it in 2003, in February-ish? What, 2013?
2013.
Yeah, that's what I say, right? What did I say?
You said 2000.
Oh, yeah, sorry. February 2013. Hash rate was at 27 terahashes, and now we're at 421, roughly 421 exahashes. It's going absolutely astronomical. So, and we have been covering on the show constantly the amount of media attention. So, of course, hodling is a use case. Of course, Bitcoin is growing. Of course, Pierre Rochard is just the GOAT and has been calling this for 10 years now. Bitcoin is going exactly as designed, guys. And with everything we're seeing, and kind of circling this back to the beginning of the show, with the amount of acceleration we're seeing from the central bankers and the bureaucrats and them scrambling for control and them scrambling to paint us all as criminals because all we really want to do is save in something that they can't steal from us, it's becoming very clear. And I know Nico and I, well, rather more Nico than I, we've been very generous for the whole year. And now I'm just doubling down on the idea that they're not naive. The politicians and the bankers, they're not naive. They know exactly what the game is. And as they accelerate and lose control of the truth, it's all because of one reason. It's because they know they are losing this war. And shout out to my boy Tucson, because he put it so eloquently. And maybe this is a little harsh in Nico's eyes, but I 100% agree with this. All the government spending you see today is not people being irresponsible or stupid. They are literally looting as quickly as they can before the system collapses. Hold on, Nico. Let me finish. And look at the U.S. national debt, guys. Remember the amount of looting that they've done. It's almost $34 trillion, and that doesn't even account for all the unfunded liabilities over here at what? Almost $195 trillion. Anyways, to wrap this up, guys, everything is going exactly as planned. Stay humble, stack sats, stay solvent. We are winning. If you really don't believe in central banks, you need to hodl Bitcoin. Hodling is a use case. Everyone's a scammer. Hold as much Bitcoin as possible. Anyways, Nico, you can jump in and then we can go into music. I went full Opti Jones on today's show. It is what it is.
Oh man. Okay. So a lot to unpack there. I think American Hodl's tweet comes to mind, where he said no one is better than their incentives. I don't think they see it as looting. And that's not a justification or anything like that, but I think that you have a system of misaligned incentives where politicians are incentivized to get close to the money printer. And I think Bitcoin fixes the incentive structure. I think that these are just human beings that think that they're doing what's best, not only for the world, but for themselves. Yeah, I'm sure there's some evil people out there, but I think that most central bankers are just trying to just pay off their mortgage just like everybody else. And I think that could be taken as like, these people are evil and this and this and that. I think that once you fix the incentive structure and the incentive structure is aligned, right? Like in the Bitcoin system, then I think people are incentivized to do good. And because they're incentivized to do good, it all kind of works in harmony. And I think we have a system where you're incentivized to do bad, right? Like you're incentivized to, to cut corners, to put it gently and nicely. And I think that's really what is the cause of a lot of this behavior, right? But of course, like I understand Opti's emotion, right? If you are under the age of 35, it has never been as expensive to own a home, right? It's much more difficult than it was for our parents' generation and the generations before them, right? So it's thank God for Bitcoin for these moments, right? And again, like I wouldn't say that Janet Yellen or Christine Lagarde. I truly believe. I don't think they think like. I truly believe they think they're doing what's best.
What's that
I
saying?
Don't think that there's.
You can't convince someone of something when their job depends on it or whatever.
Yeah, exactly. You can't. Yeah. I remember that quote. I can't remember the exact quote off the top of my head, but yeah, you can't convince someone that they're doing something wrong if their income or their job depends on it, right? So I I just, that's what I gotta say about that.
Hey,
It's just,
I like there's a good balance where I'll go off the edge and you're the sober one here. But before we go on to the meme review, there's a good comment over here on Rumble, and it goes, Opti Jones 1, Lagarde 0. Shout out to the Rumble chat.
Oh man, but yeah. Look, Bitcoin fixes this. I think this is what fiat does. It misaligns the incentives, and I think it brings the worst out of humanity. And I think Bitcoin brings the best out of humanity. So, anyways, that's my take. But I understand Opti's emotion, and I understand where his frustrations are coming from, because I think a lot of us feel that way. Especially if you're a Zoomer, if you're a millennial. What is before Zoomer? I don't even know.
After. I think they call them Gen Alpha now or something.
That's so weird. Not that it's weird. It's just it's the first time I'm hearing
I think they
it.
call them Generation Alpha. It's like they restarted. So Gen Z, start with the A.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I'm excited for the meme review.
Oh, I got some good ones.
Let's hit that. Okay. All right. Let's hit the meme review, everybody. Let's do it.
The Daily Meme Review.
All right, guys. This is. Hold on. All right, guys. This is the meme review where you guys send me memes, tag me on Twitter. Simply Bitcoin TV. Really, the best way to get me now is at Optimus Field, because our Twitter account is getting crazy. Or drop them in our Telegram group, t.me/simplybitcointv.
You're gonna regret.
It's whatever. That. It's fine. Blow up my notifications. They're off.
No, just join our.
I tell them to join the Telegram group, and they're starting to drop the memes now.
Look. Join our Telegram group. Go to t.me/simplybitcointv. You could join there. It's a party.
Drop them in there.
People are just dropping memes.
But I need the Twitter. I need the tweet
the time.
so I can give them credit, guys. Either way, it doesn't matter. We will adjust, and I'll tell you to not tag me in the future. But in the meantime, it is okay. Tweets are the bullets. Memes are the artillery. We are in an information war, and you are frontline soldiers. Continue to get the calls of action out there. Continue to ridicule the corporate press. Continue to make the funnies to keep your friends' heads in the game. Anyways, first meme, shouts out to my boy, World of Rusty. And on Nico's post of Bitcoiner slavery, he dropped this GIF of the GILF, Christine Lagarde, as a reptilian demon, and it goes, it's your choice, in parentheses, a currency that steals from you or a currency that enslaves you. Doesn't sound like a choice to me. It really doesn't sound like a choice at all. Opt out, Bitcoiner slavery, Bitcoiner death, Bitcoiner annihilation. Doubling down on it. I'm going full Opti Jones today. It's all right. I don't do it often. Anyways, next meme. Shouts out to my boy, Nick Campmine. And I'm sure you guys saw this morning, Bitcoin just kissed 30K. And he's got this tweet here, and it goes, $30,000 Bitcoin. And we got a Pepe here looking at it's the meme of the guy looking over into the abyss. But it's like a Pepe, and he shit his pants, and he goes, I'm thinking we're back. I'm thinking we're so back. Oh, actually, what's the chat think? Chat thinks the bull run has started. So we're so back. We are so back. Okay. The next meme is by TK. Shout out to TK. He's in the chat or in the Telegram group at ToxiCat27. And we got this kid here with no shirt on. He's gambling at the casino, and the kid is the banking parasites, and the slot machine is government debt, and them just keep pulling on the lever, and it's your entire life saving. This is what's going on. The banking parasites, the bureaucrats out there, the lizards, whatever you want to call them. They are gambling with your life savings. Oh. It is absolutely incredible. Anyways, next one is Ghost of Becca, and it goes, good morning, #Bitcoin pump. And we got the silverback gorilla with his hand on his head, and he's so concerned because you do not have enough Bitcoin, and we all feel the same way. Once Bitcoin starts pumping, it's like, damn, I probably shouldn't have bought that one thing. Everyone's a scammer, including myself. You are usually the biggest scammer because you scam yourself out of Bitcoin. Don't take your foot off the gas. All right, next meme is by the BTC therapist.
Okay. Today's episode. Okay. All right. Today's episode. All right.
Hold on. That's your meme review score.
All right. It's on the border of radical opti. Okay.
Radical. We gotta move
that. We gotta move.
This is sensible and popular amongst my demographics.
We gotta move that closer to the middle, bro.
All right. Hey. Call me the crazy uncle. I'm okay with this. Crazy Uncle Jim. Anyways, BTC therapist, the battle has just begun. Hashtag BTC. Just keep doubling down. Are you, Nick? This is going to end very good. Look, we got this giant beast here, U.S. national debt with the money printer, and us, David versus Goliath with the Bitcoin logo, and us fighting the monetary demons. Okay, next one. Canute Svanholm. Pill or suppository, your choice. Take the orange pill now, or you take the orange Bitcoin suppository later. You can make it easy on yourself. Be wise. Learn from what we were saying, our mistakes, saving Bitcoin, or the economic reality of printing too much money will force you to take Bitcoin. And this last one, Nika, this is the one that came out of our Slack. So Copernicus in the chat triggered. Here's Opti on the couch with the central bankers and bureaucratic parasites, and we got Jay Powell, Chrissy Lagarde, Janet Yellen, Augustus Carson, and Gary Gensler.
Shout out to Sophie for creating that.
Oh my goodness.
Today's meme review score for me is the Overton window. All right. And I see a lot of you guys in the chat saying,
and popular.
If you are in the middle, you are toast. If you are in the thing is, guys, okay, the more you go to unthinkable and radical, what you do is you exclude people that haven't taken the orange pill yet. So sometimes it's a good idea.
No, guys, like Nico's spitting facts, and I know I went full Opti Jones, got triggered on the show today, but I say it all the time. What we are doing here is narrative trench warfare, and as much as it's a knee-jerk reaction to just like go full crazy and full Charlie Day on people, it's really about holding their hand slowly but surely, guiding them towards the truth and getting them over the Overton window. Whoa. I got a huge hornet in my dad's office. That's crazy. Okay. All right. My score for today is this petrified wood, this rock, petrified wood here. It's a rock, but it's petrified wood. Okay. Anyways.
That's pretty fucking cool. Is it a rock?
Is it a rock or is it petrified or is it wood? No one knows. No, it's petrified wood.
So
it's
cool.
It's a rock, but it's petrified wood. My dad likes petrified wood. Anyways, drop your meme review score in the chat.
I'm so confused.
You've never seen petrified wood before?
What does that even mean? I don't even know what that means.
It means it was wood. It was a tree. And over time, it became a rock. Okay. Wow, dude.
Okay.
Jeez. You've never been in a forest before? You've never seen these things, dude?
No,
wow, you're so Miami, it hurts.
There's too many palm trees.
So Miami,
guys,
it hurts.
Check out our merch. If you don't buy our merch, Wine will get very upset.
If you don't buy our merch, we're poor.
Help support the show.
No, it means a lot to us, guys. It really does.
It really does, and it really, it helps us a lot. We got a bigger crew than you guys would think.
Yeah, a lot. Shouts out to everyone behind the scenes that makes sure Simply Bitcoin brings you guys all the sauce.
Should we start dropping names?
There's too many names. I don't want to miss anyone.
Jacob, Chris, Zach, Rustin, Ani,
Jax, Dell,
Wine, Rustin,
Daft, Morpheus.
That's everyone. I think
Mike,
Sophie.
Yeah, I think that's it. Just like 10 of us, including us.
Anyways, help buy our
And we'll
merch.
get you guys the other merch too. Well,
yeah, the
actually,
hat is coming.
actually, yell
I
at
sent-
Nico because he's the treasury right now.
Wait, what? We haven't even gotten rid of the merch.
I know.
Do you want me to buy more merch? Okay. All right.
Hey, I'm a free market maxi. They want the they want the merch. If you know, you know. All right. What a wow. I really derailed today's show.
I don't approve of any of this.
All right.
Okay. Tora Poddle, my meme score. Yesterday's Meme Factory show. Happy 40 Fug special. Yeah, happy birthday, Greg. I dropped
Damn,
in.
is he 40? Was it his 40th birthday yesterday?
Well, that's awesome, dude. Happy birthday, Greg, legendary memer of Bitcoin Twitter. Sicko05, Game of the Year, Shadow of the Colossus on PS2 in 2005.
Okay.
I love video games, so I'm sure that provided some good memories for you, bro. Igor, a radical lizard suppository. Okay, very nice. Next one. Elaine, Chrissy breaks down at the IMF conference, possesses her love for opting, then announces she has become a Bitcoiner. Wow, that would break the internet. Skip down the road, meme score 21 million. Author of The Jungle, Upton Sinclair. It is difficult to get a man to understand something when his salary depends on his not understanding it.
That's
Thank
the quote.
you. That's the quote. Planet Earth, gold is petrified useless money.
Okay.
It's a good score. Are we buzzing
Last
it?
one.
Are we buzzing it? Okay. XX meme score, 1 petrified blonde streak. Okay. All right, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in to Simply Bitcoin. We appreciate all
Guys,
y'all.
I'm getting put back into the cage over here. I guess I went too far over the Overton window. Your boy went ballistic.
No. I think I got you riled up.
I
with
think
the
you
news
did.
and the numbers.
Hold on, wait, whoa! There's meme scores on Rumble. We got a fuck banks by John Pleb. We got an idle threat meme score. Opti playing with his no, that is wrong. Okay, never mind. Not reading Rumble meme scores.
No. Opti playing with his rock, his dad's rock. Like, you know, it's okay.
No, I do not endorse that.
It's a rock, bro. You're reading too much into it.
That's not what the meme score says.
Guys, if you enjoyed the show, you know what to do. Smash that like button. Consider subscribing if you feel like we provided you value. But the number one thing you could do to help push the peaceful Bitcoin revolution is share this content. In fact, share all Bitcoin content. Don't be exclusive, be inclusive. And yeah, guys, have an amazing weekend. And we will see you guys on Monday for a brand new episode of Simply Bitcoin Live. But if you want to join the after party, I will be holding it down with Opti today. You can join us on Twitter Spaces, which we co-host with our friends over at Swan Bitcoin, best place to build your Bitcoin stack. Shout out to the best producer in the game, producer Jacob. And if you guys want to join the conversation and continue the topics that we talked about today, yeah, definitely join Twitter. But until then, guys, like I said, have an amazing weekend. We will see you Monday, 12:15 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for another episode of Simply Bitcoin Live. Peace out, y'all.
Yo, that show was lit. Absolute lit show. I had a great time.